My name is Benjamin Berger, and in this video I want to examine how dinosaurs came to rule the Earth. So we can divide Earth's history into the time before the dinosaurs, the time of the dinosaurs, and the time after the dinosaurs. No other group has come to define such a large chunk of Earth's history than dinosaurs. But as dinosaurs were never as diverse as mammals, birds, lizards, plants, insects, and mollusks, but they occupy that part of our imagination of gigantic battling reptiles, which bracket what we see today in feathered birds of the air and scaly reptiles like alligators, their nearest living relatives. But how did this one group become so successful? What were the events that led to their great success? Now, understanding their success, the success of the dinosaurs, is kind of like replaying a complex board game, a board game that had a single continent, Pangea, the supercontinent. Now, Pangea was a single major landmass on Earth during the early rise of dinosaurs in the late Permian and early to late Triassic. Now, there have been some remarkable new discoveries that have been made this past year, and I wanted to highlight some of these fossil discoveries and how they play out with the rise of dinosaurs. Now, this video is separated into 3 parts. So the first part, I want to describe the map of Pangea, the geographic realm where dinosaurs would rise out of. The second, I want to talk about the various players, the various groups of animals that were dinosaurs' chief competition for world dominance. And third, I want to talk about how the dinosaurs won this game by the age of the Jurassic period 200 million years ago. Now, this is a study of paleobiogeography, the ancient geographic locations of various species through time, and how they changed over millions of years. So, for example, with the expansion of us, of humans globally, that occurred very, very quickly in less than 300,000 years. So was this true of dinosaurs? Did they suddenly appear in kind of one corner of the map and spread out very quickly? Or did they slowly plot across the world over a span of millions of years? So this is something that I wanted to look at in this video. Now, Pangea was a single continent, which meant that any group of land-dwelling animals could move across this single expanse of terrain. However, there was, in truth, a couple barriers to this movement. The first was the massively large Appalachian Mountains, which formed from the collision of Europe and Africa and North and South America. These mountains, these huge mountains, spanned across the equatorial region just north of the equator. In a rainy region called the Intertropical Convergence Zone, which likely led to rainforests near these massive mountains, were the remnants of the great swampy forests of the late Pennsylvanian period. And to the west of the mountains was the dry deserts of western North America, and north and south of the equator, vast deserts in the high-pressure air and hot atmospheric circulation that crossed over the mid-latitude of North America and the mid-latitudes of South America and Africa. These large desert regions likely served as barriers for animals living near the equator from moving toward the poles, and animals living near the poles from moving toward the equator. Finally, the northern and southern regions of Pangea, in the temperate zones, where areas of mild temperatures and some of the richest fossil sites are actually known in these regions, including the Karen Basin of South Africa and the fossil-rich sites in Russia and in China. So what I did was I kind of spent an afternoon kind of playing around with a database of fossil records on the PaleoBio database. And I have a link in the description if you want to go and check out some of these occurrences. Now, I had to categorize a large diversity of animals that lived during this time and pull out the percentage of occurrences for bins of time during the late Permian to early Jurassic periods. And I limited my search to only tetrapods, that is, animals with 4 limbs. And I grouped these into 5 groups. The first group was the amphibians. The second group was the anapsid reptiles. Those are reptiles that lack a temporal opening on the side of the skull. The third group were the synapsid, the mammal-like reptiles or stem mammals and early mammals, which have only a single temporal opening. The fourth group was the euryapsids. These are mostly aquatic reptiles with 1 superior temporal opening. And the fifth group were the diapsid reptiles, which include dinosaurs that have 2 temporal openings. I then split these into 15 smaller groupings, looking at their relative abundance from 260 million years ago to 200 million years ago. This was a little difficult because a lot of these groups are all hierarchical, and there's some debate as to which of each of these groups belong within. So, for example, I included the Pariasauridae within my anapsid grouping, but some researchers and some recent research has pointed out that they might be better to include within diapsid or more closely related to Diapsidae. So I basically then took all this data and kind of generated a graph, and it's very similar to ones that I've seen in many textbooks. This is often called the wedge or the edge idea of dinosaur origins. So on one side of this graph, representing the percentage of the abundance of tetrapods in the late Permian, you see lots of blues, greens, and grays. While on the other side, on the right-hand side, you see, representing the late Triassic, you see a lot of reds and pinks, representing changes to the characteristic fauna of animals during this period of time. So the red represents dinosaurs, Saurischian dinosaurs specifically. The lighter pink colors are other archosaurs belonging to Eusuchian, such as phytosaurs, protorosaurs, and the like. The yellows are the other diapsid reptiles, mostly dominated by rictosaurs. The purple are the euryapsida, like Eurysopterygians, like early plesiosaur, ichthyosaur groups, and the aeroskelectoids. The green are the synapsids, with Pelycosaura, Dinocynodonts, Therodonts, and other mammal-like groups. Note that they kind of fall in abundance over time. The gray colors are the anapsid reptiles like parasaurs, bryosaurs, and cotylosaurs, including caparinids. And the blue, which is at the base, are the temnospondyl amphibians, which strangely do pretty well after the Permian-Triassic boundary. Now, the Permian-Triassic boundary had a major effect on the abundance of synapsid mammal-like groups, which never really recovered their dominance by the late Triassic. And by the end, they are just a very small sliver of their former diversity. Dinosaurs, which are colored red, clearly are dominating the late Triassic and early Jurassic fauna, representing nearly 65% of the fossils found at the start of the Jurassic period 200 million years ago. They were the most dominant group during the entire span of time, but the rise of dinosaurs was somewhat gradual, with their first appearance around 240 million years ago, but not really dominating the world until about 220 million years ago, a span of nearly 20 million years. Now, the real explosion of dinosaurs occurs between the Carnian and Norian ages of the second half of the Triassic period. This is near the Triassic Carnian pluvial event, around 230 million years ago, when the climate was particularly hot and humid, with massive monsoonal systems of decadal cycles of intense rain and drought. A particularly harsh period of very hot global climates that may have been more advantageous to animals, such as dinosaurs, that were able to move quickly across Pangea to find resources in a consistently changing environment. The temnospondyle amphibians also did well during this time, despite the harsh climate, likely because of the humid, warm temperatures and lots of rain. However, the more mammal-like animals, which were less fast and kind of more adapted to the colder, cooler climates, suffered the most during this period. The extremely warm climate made having fur not a really great advantage. As the climate also became both warmer and drier during the Triassic, the dinosaurs had the upper hand. They had the advantage, since they were quick runners and able to exploit regions that would be off limits to other groups, especially those less adapted toward running. So, where did dinosaurs first appear on the continent of Pangea? Now, the earliest true dinosaurs appear in South America, present-day South America, including Herrerasaurus, Sanjuanosaurus, and Eoraptor. Those are dated to about 231.4 million years ago, and they're found in the Ischigualasta Formation, which is Carnian in age of the Middle Triassic. However, there is a possible older known dinosaur named Nasiosaurus from Africa, which is dated a little bit older to about 240 million years ago. But there's some debate whether it is a dinosaur or not, since it's pretty poorly known. Now, strangely, dinosaur-like fossil tracks are known from earlier rock layers. Gallolater footprints are characteristic three-toed tridactyl prints that are around 10 centimeters long. And these tracks show 3 toes, but the track mirrors may have had actually more toes on their feet. They are made by bipedal dinosaur-like animals. And these footprints are found in rock layers that push possible dinosaur origins back in time well before the Carnian into as far back as the Smithian age, shortly after the Permian-Triassic boundary. And these tracks are found globally from the early Triassic. But if it was not dinosaurs who were making these tracks, who was the maker of these fossil trackways? Now, new discoveries have shed light on a group of dinosaur-like animals that lived before the rise of dinosaurs in the Carnian age. And these animals are called the Coelurosaurid Dinosauriformes. They looked like dinosaurs, but are actually the sister group to them. And these little dinosaur-shaped animals, which were first discovered in Poland, have been also found in Africa, South America, and recently in New Mexico and Colorado here in North America. They appear as far back as about 240 million years ago. Coelurosaurid Dinosauriformes include a number of genera. Coelurosaurus from Poland, Sacosaurus from Brazil, Lageropteron, Luisuchius, and Marasuchius from South America, Eocoelophysis and Dromaeosaurus from New Mexico and Arizona, and Aciliosaurus from Tanzania, Africa. And recently, paleontologists Brian Small and Jeff Martez described a beautiful example, one of these creatures from the Chinle Formation of western Colorado, named Kawanosaurus. It was quadrupedal with a strangely curved femur and teeth for eating plant material. Cerasaurid dinosauriformes were globally distributed, and they actually overlapped with true dinosaurs in the late Triassic period. And while these animals went extinct by the end of the Triassic, they appear to be the group that dinosaurs arose from within. These animals were the world's first cursorial animals, animals that were built for faster running. Cerasaurid dinosauriformes were facilitatively bipedal, meaning that some of them could actually walk on their hind legs only, leaving behind fossil footprints found in the earlier Triassic rocks. They succeeded by being able to move great distances across Pangea because of this faster locomotor abilities and adaptations than the contemporary kind of slow plodding animals of the time. Like many birds today, these proto-dinosaurs gained resources in the climatic, chaotic world of the Triassic and the globally hot climates and monsoonal-like rains. These animals could move to new regions to exploit food resources when they became available. And if depleted, they can move onward to the next one. Other tetrapods were less adapted toward running, and they were more confined to the regions that they are locally found in. These include many of the synapsid mammal-like stem mammals, little tetrapods that were more regionally distributed on Pangea and very localized to various areas. True dinosaurs first arose in the southern hemisphere, but they actually very quickly spread to the northern hemisphere by the Norian age of the Triassic. Hence, dinosaur origins were linked with the success of this earlier mysterious group of animals, and their global regional extent seems to be confirmed by new discoveries from the Triassic period. Now, one of the things to kind of highlight is that groups of animals rarely compete directly with one another. And it's actually often their ability to survive changes or perturbations to the environment rather than direct species-to-species competition. So I've been recently reading Paul Wigden's book, The Worst of Times, How Life on Earth Survived 80 Million Years of Extinctions, to really start to comprehend how truly chaotic that span of time was for life on Earth, with some of the most severe climatic changes on the planet saw during the long Phanerozoic era. So dinosaurs arose during a period of intense global warming. Studying the rise of dinosaurs had me thinking about the rise of the next group of animals in Earth's coming future. What animals living today exemplify the abilities to cope with rising temperatures and global warming? Which creatures will survive the next 80 million years of Earth's coming future? It's a fun thing to think about. I want to thank my supporters, Fred Olney, Marlo and Draco, Magnus Sofang, Pablo Lozata Figuez, Max McGregor, Nisto, Sean McCormick, and Emmett Larson. Thank you. I hope to be making a lot more videos on dinosaurs, paleontology, and geology with the new year. So please feel free to subscribe to my YouTube channel so you can keep up to date with new videos.